Alright, hi, hello, welcome back to another r slash no sweep video. And today, actually, is going to be a r slash no sweep. This video is being recorded on June 14th, 2023. So that means r slash no sweep is done with the blackout, so we can go back to the normal scheduled program. Still, I'd like to say thank you guys so much for all the support on the last video, which was the reading 10 scary short stories from the internet. It's not something I really wanted to do, but, I still wanted to do more horror, scary story type content for you guys, so hopefully you all still enjoy that video. And also, I want to say thank you guys all for the support over the past, week or two. Definitely jumping up 45 subscribers since last time. It was just amazing, and I thought I would never see the day. So, yet again, I just want to say thank you guys so much for everything. As previously stated, though, in the last couple of r slash no sleep videos, this is completely unedited. I don't have a way to really edit my videos, so this is all pretty much like a one take thing that I do. So if I stutter, I mumble, if you hear me take a drink of my Dr. Pepper, then, it's all going to be here. So some people do enjoy it because it's kind of like more authentic. So hopefully you guys all still enjoy. If I ever do become big, videos will be better. Like this, this little guy right here will probably turn into a VTuber model one day. So, who knows? But yeah. So outside of all of that, I'm gonna take a quick sip of my drink and then I'll get into the stories. I have the first one picked out already. The other two I'll just, find as we go. Yeah, we'll be doing 4 stories like usual. All of the links to them will be down below. Description, along with the link to r slash no sweep and all that stuff. So, if you want to read along with me, feel free. Alright. Also, one more quick note. This is streamed live on twitch.tv/JankyJohnson. So if you hear me do talk to some people in chat, that is why I'm not schizophrenic. I mean, I could be partially schizophrenic, but we don't talk about that. But yeah, so we're going to get into it right now. So the first story was posted 17 hours ago, so it was posted right when the Reddit became, usable again. It was posted 17 hours ago, and it's by user Indigo Creepy, and the story is: I found out I have a stalker through TikTok Live. One night, unable to sleep, I mindlessly scrolled through TikTok, hoping to find something that would distract me from my restlessness. Among the countless TikTok live streams, one particular stream caught my attention. The title simply read, "A Midnight Stroll." Intrigued, I tapped on it, unknowingly opening the door to a world of horror. The stream depicted a man silently traversing through a desolate forest. The eerie atmosphere was suffocating, with darkness seemingly swallowing the lone figure. Sorry about that, I was checking something. To my utter shock, as the livestream continued, the man's path led him to a familiar place: my backyard. I couldn't believe my eyes. It was my house. How could this even be possible? Fear gripped my heart, and I immediately dialed the emergency services, desperately hoping that they could provide some answers. The police arrived swiftly, but to my dismay, they found nothing out of the ordinary in the woods. Without any concrete evidence or immediate danger, they dismissed my claims. I figured this account will probably go live again, and when it does, I'll screen record and get some proof. It took some time, but eventually the livestream resumed. Unfortunately for me, this time, however, it did not reveal my house. Just hours of this man walking through the woods at night. Why are people even watching this? I thought to myself. The livestream that night was a bust. This man didn't do anything out of the ordinary besides, being a weirdo walking through the woods at night. I anxiously waited for the livestream to return. After 2 days, the account finally went live again, and this time I was prepared. I started to screen record, determined to capture the proof I so desperately needed. The stream unfolded just as before. The mysterious man paced through the dark woods, his footsteps crunching unsuspecting leaves. The sound of crickets could be distinctly heard. The man emerged from the depths of the forest, his gaze fixed upon my house. But this time, something was different. He started moving towards my house, step by step, drawing closer to me. The fear that had gripped me earlier escalated to sheer terror. I knew I had to take action. My fight or flight response was activated, and I descended the stairs from my room. Making my way to the kitchen window, never taking my eyes off the live stream, I peered into the darkness, searching for any signs of a man approaching my house, but to my horror, I saw nothing. I looked back down at my phone, then back up at the window, and back down at my phone, and back down at my phone again. The man was continuing to walk towards my house in the live stream, but I didn't see him in real time. The realization struck me like a lightning bolt. The live stream had a delay. It had to have a stream delay. I watched him approach my back door on my phone. My mind raced as I frantically looked to the left and noticed my back door was ever so slightly cracked open. And that's the end of the story. Sorry I kind of fumbled up my words on that one. I looked back down on my phone, then back up to the window, and back down on my phone again. I don't know why I read that twice in my head, but outside that little hiccup, it was honestly a really good story though. I really do enjoy them using the modern TikTok live and translating it to a horror sense. I honestly thought it was really nice. One thing I do kind of wish the story was a bit longer, though, but if this is the first time he wrote a story, I give it a fucking 8 out of 10. That was really good. I really enjoyed it. And all the comments were like, nope, just get out of there. That's pretty cool. Alright, so that was the first story. Hopefully y'all enjoyed that. So this is a story with sexual violence in it. I'm not going to read it because I know that is a trigger for people, and I don't want anyone to feel uncomfortable watching my videos outside of me being uncomfortable doing this stuff. So hopefully I'm not gonna do any stories like that. Okay, this one sounds pretty cool. So this story was posted 9 hours ago by Skinny Tinkles. Skinny Tinkles. Story is called Last Week I Lost My Voice. Something else found it. I grew up in the city, so of course I was eager to see new and interesting places. I mean, as soon as I turned 18, I was out the door and traveling across the country. In the end, though, the thing I wanted most was the peace and quiet that I couldn't find in the city. That's how I ended up working at a bar in a small Montana town at 19 years old. As I said, the town is pretty small. Mostly just bars and a few stores. Ever since I moved there last month, I always found the library to be interesting. The old architecture makes the place look surreal, and on top of that, I'm an avid reader. I've actually been meaning to write a book, maybe make some money from it, so last week I visited the place hoping to find some inspiration, if not some good reading material. Nobody was inside, which I thought was weird, considering it was located in a pretty busy part of town. I looked around a bit, and I saw a girl, about my age, in an office chair, reading a Stephen King novel that I don't remember the name of. Hey, do you work here? I asked tentatively. Work here? Alright, wait, I don't know how I should do her voice. Work here? I own the place, she said, jolting upwards. Oh wow, but you're only 19? Yeah, my aunt left it to me. I was the only reader in the family besides herself, so we were pretty close. I'm Kat. I'm Leo. Sorry I didn't see you there sooner. I don't usually see many people coming in here this time of week. Not a lot of readers in this town. The library gets most of its money from people buying DVDs every Friday. Sure enough, there were several stands full of DVDs for the latest and greatest movies. Those weren't while I was there though. Say, I've been thinking about writing a novel. I was hoping I could find some inspiration here. A passion for reading, let alone writing? You must not be from here. Well, what are you planning on writing then? I suppose I've always been a big horror fan. I'd love to write something scary. A horror fan? Me too! If you're looking for inspiration... Oh, yes. There's a section over there that contains all kind of books about witchcraft, demons, and all that fun stuff. I'm not meant to touch them too often. They're really old, but I wouldn't want to anyway. Why not? I was interested now. Well, I don't get scared easily. I'm fine with the reading scary stories and watching scary movies. Been that way since I was a little girl. But something about those old books gave me the heebie-jeebies. This was exactly what I was hoping for. I thanked Kat and walked to the section containing the creepy old books. Be careful with them. As I said, they're really old. If they get damaged, there'll be hell to pay. She shouted across the library. Of course! I chuckled, grabbing one of the books. The cover was a faded red, and the pages were yellowed. It had no title, so I began flicking through the pages. Eventually, I landed on a page of a creepy drawing. A face smiling, but with a wide, frightened eyes. As I said, creepy, but I love creepy stuff. So I made the mistake of reading the text, which I will not share with you, soon to be obvious reasons. As soon as I was done reading it, I gasped, then had a burning sensation in my throat and my jaw hung open. I stayed like that for 10 seconds at least before stumbling backwards. My breathing was unsteady and I stumbled towards the exit. Kat looked up from her book again, then became concerned when she saw me. But I just told her that my healer was in my car, that I need to come back tomorrow. My voice came out as a whisper, but it was enough to get her back to her book. I hurried home, and though my breathing had become relaxed, my voice was completely gone. I tried to talk to myself in the mirror, but nothing came out. The book is meant to be really old. Maybe I had gotten sick from touching it. I made the decision to sweep it off. My alarm woke me up for work, and I went to the bathroom to brush my teeth, but I found that I couldn't open my mouth. Hell, I couldn't even move my tongue. As panic began to settle in, I spoke. I was saying things. It was my voice, but it wasn't me saying those things. Something was controlling my mouth to speak. You invited me in yesterday evening. You read from the book. Be aware, I am in control of not just your speech, but your respiration. If you try to communicate about this to anyone, or if you don't do as I desire, I will stop your breathing for you. Or perhaps I'll bite clean through your tongue. I show up to work on time, thankfully. I must have been a sight, pale as a ghost, but still talking as confident as ever. More confident than normal, even. Whoever was using my voice was remembering the names of every bargoer and keeping them entertained as I gave them their drinks. I left, got in my car, and then my voice told me to go to the library. It was a Friday, so there was a few people looking for DVDs, but I walked over to Kat. Leo, how are you? You look kind of sick when you left yesterday, she said, concern in her voice. Oh, I'm better for seeing you. I think that there was just some dust in the old book. Got me sick for a day. I responded casually. Say, mind if I take that book home? Have a little look at it? I think it has some great material for a horror novel. Oh, I don't know, Leo. I meant to keep that old thing mostly untouched, and if it's gonna make people all sick for today, I don't think I should be letting people near it. Okie dokie, I grinned at her. Then I whispered so that only I could hear myself. Go grab some horror DVDs. I obliged, taking 2 in each hand and walking back to Kat. Say, you're a horror fan, ain't ya? I smiled. Sure, I don't get scared easy, though. My smile grew wider as I said, Say, I'll be watching a few of these horror movies tonight. Wanna come over to my place tonight and watch them with me? She took me up on the offer. Like a side note, lucky ass. Go back to the story. And I headed home to get ready. I was beginning to seriously worry. Whatever was controlling my smile and my voice had to have something planned for her, and I doubt it was anything good. Still, I wanted to continue breathing. She arrived at 9 p.m., and I went to turn on the movies. The movies I was told to grab were the Evil Dead films. My mouth processor was not without any sense of humor. We sat on the couch for 2 hours like that, laughing at the movies and getting incredibly drunk. Even while I was afraid to move from that couch, and my voice was sweet-talking her. At around 11 p.m., we were both plastered, though I got a sense that whatever was controlling my voice was focused on something, despite my speech being slurred. It was at this point that she leaned in for a kiss. With that thing controlling my mouth obliged, and as soon as our lips touched, I felt the same burning sensation in my throat that I had felt when I read from the Red Book, and my eyes opened wide. Judging by Kat's wide eyes, I could guess she was feeling the same feeling in her throat. We both fell backwards, and I heard her breathing become unsteady. My jaw hung open for a while until I realized that I was in control of my breathing again, and by extension, my speech. "Are you alright there, Kat?" I soared out, still very much inebriated. "Yeah, just tired. Real tired," she responded. Her voice came out as a whisper. She fell asleep on the couch, and I passed out drunk on the floor. When I woke up, I heard her voice coming from the bathroom. "Be aware. I am in control of not just your speech, but your respiration. If you try to communicate about this to anyone, or if you don't do as I desire, I will stop your breathing for you, or perhaps I'll bite clean through your tongue." I had transferred it to her. I ran to the bathroom and puked into the toilet, partially out of panic, but mostly because I was hungover. "Thanks, Leo. We should do this again sometime." I looked up to see Kat, grinning, but with fear in her eyes. "Grab your keys and go home," she said. "Oh, grab your keys and go home," she said, this time to herself. After that, I tried to figure out why it wanted her instead of me, and I realized last night she owns the library and has access to those old books, like the one that I read from. Kat is in danger, and more people might be if she used the books. Wow, that was honestly a really amazing story, though. I really enjoyed that one. That was honestly awesome. I give that a 9 out of 10. No, I'll give it a 10 out of 10. That was good. That deserves definitely too many spirits. Another Ryan and Shane joke, or Shane and Ryan joke, however you say the names. I really did enjoy that one, though. I kind of like how I also referenced like the Evil Dead, like kind of like the Necronomicon, if that's the name of it, though. That was really cool. I really enjoyed that one. Hopefully, you all enjoyed it too. All right, that's Skinny Tinkles. 10 out of 10. Good job, man. Huh. Okay. There's a story here called "Don't Let the People in the Trees See Your Face." It sounds good, just I don't know. There is a trigger warning about hanging, death, and blood. So I don't know if I should really read that. I mean, I don't know. I did read some kinda, scary stories though. Okay, I'm gonna be reading this one instead. This one is kind of long. This one is long. But yeah, I'll read the people in trees. I'll read that one. Okay, so this one was posted 9 hours ago by It's M25. I'll take a drink real quick and then we'll keep going. Alright, let's go. Don't let the people in the trees see your face. Trigger warning: hanging, death, and blood. Also, this is not safe for work, so, if there's any bad words, I'll bleep them. I mean, the words I'll bleep. So, I grew up in a small town called Evelynch. It's located on the outskirts of Delaware. The population there was just over 1,000, and I grew up there with my single mother and my two brothers. I was the youngest, so I was the punching bag of my siblings, but we all loved each other really. It's the type of town where everyone knew everyone. All the shops were owned by families that lived there, and the bakeries always had fresh homemade goods. Overall, it was a great place to grow up in. Apart from the fact that the town was very superstitious about the surrounding woods. It was surrounded by these massive woods, miles and miles of wood. The kids and adults never went in them. The only people you ever saw in the woods were woodcutters. There was only one road that went through them. It was always referred to as the Lumberjacks Highway, as all the woodcutters would use it to transport all the cuttings from the forest back to the town. They were the only people to really use it, as not many people came to visit Avalanche. Growing up, all the kids were told to never go playing in the woods. All the adults of the town had these made-up horror stories about giant bears and a pack of hungry wolves to scare the kids into staying away from them. And were warned not to listen to the animal noises we heard at night. The adults told us that they were wailing, or it was their mating call that we believed them, but as we grew up, we started to notice that the noises coming from the woods at night weren't noises of an animal, but none of us could ever identify what they actually were. Well, that was until the summer of 1997, and I wish that every bone in my body we hadn't. It was a hot summer's day. Me and my two closest friends, Bruno and Stacy, were all playing in my backyard. Also, I like to say, the sentence is, it was a hot summer's day, and me and my two closest friends, Bruno, but he didn't put and Stacy though. It was a comma within Stacy. So, I'm going back to the story though. I'm not illiterate. I'm kind of nervous. But back to it. Two of my closest friends, Bruno and Stacy, were all playing in my backyard. That night, we had planned to sleep in the field just at the back of my house. A little makeshift camping night, but since we were only 11, we didn't want to go too far from home. The field at the back of my house had a thick barbed wire fence surrounding it. It keeps the field and the woods separate. It was around 7 feet tall, the barbed wire at the top adding around it another foot onto it. So no one in the town was capable of climbing it. Many have tried and failed miserably, ending up on the ground or in the hospital. Okay, I wonder why, but we'll keep going. We placed outdoor camping lanterns all around the tent, lighting up the area around us, meaning we could see just past the fence. To explain the setup, we had one of those tents with the clear back. It was like a window, and it had a piece of fabric you could roll down like a crappy curtain on it. The window was facing the fence with the fabric rolled up at the top because it was tangled and we were all too young to know how to untie it. So we decided just to leave it open. To make us feel better, we all turned our sleeping bags to... Wait, what? To make us all feel better, we turned our sleeping bags to face the window, so we didn't have our backs to it. By the time we got settled in our sleeping bags, it was around 11 p.m. We decided to tell stories and play some card games before heading to sleep. We eventually fell asleep around 12 p.m., meaning that the area that wasn't lit up by our lamps was now pitch black, making us all feel a bit uneasy. The next thing that I remember, I was being shook awake by Bruno. I half lifted the sleeping mask off my eyes and looked up to see him hovering over me. Trembling, he was panicked and looked at me like he was about to cry. I was so half asleep and confused at what was going on. I remember asking him what was the matter, and he just raised his shaking hand and pointed into the tree line. I rubbed my eyes and looked out the tent window and that's when I saw them, figures, just standing in the tree line staring at us. They were almost as tall as the fence. Must have been around 6'5" with out of proportion limbs. Their arms were almost as long as their bodies, and their heads were smaller than average humans. They had smiles painted onto their unmoving face, and there were gaping holes where their eyes should have been. At the end of their arms, there were small, slim hands that worked in talons where their fingers should have been, and they were all swaying, crying all in sync. That was when the wailing noises was. I was frozen and I couldn't move. I tried to scream for my mom. I tried to run, but my body wouldn't let me. And after what felt like hours, Stacy woke up in a sleeping daze, followed our gaze, and met the same horrific image we were seeing. She let out a shriek and jumped, and that jump started my brain. I threw my sleeping bag off and tumbled out of the tent. Stacy and Bruno both followed me. Bruno was still shaking and Stacy crying hysterically. Suddenly, we all heard a scream. It sounded like everyone in our town began crying and wailing together. I looked back to see they were now pressed up against the fence, pointing at us and screaming and crying at the holes where their eyes should have been. Seeing this, we all picked up the pace, jumping over my fence and tumbling into my backyard. We began frantically banging at my back door, begging for my mom to let us in. She swung the door open and pulled us all inside, asking what the hell we were doing at this hour. Once we explained, her annoyed expression soon shifted to a look of terror. She stormed out of the room and got our house phone. She called someone and told them exactly what we had told her. She then hung up and let us all into the basement. After around 10 minutes, we heard someone enter from our front door that came into the basement light. And now we could see as our local priest. He had holy water and a Bible and a cross with him. He rushed in and imminently, I-M-M-I-N-E-N-T-L-Y. I think imminently? I'm going to say, and immediately started chanting verses of the Bible and splashing the water in a circle around us. He soon looked panicked when the water around my two friends began drying up and the splashes around me were untouched. Confused, I asked what was going on, but he ignored me and took my weeping mother outside to speak to her. After around 10 minutes, my mom, my two friends' parents came back into the basement. They were all crying and hugging each other. My mom was telling her parents how sorry she was and kept telling them that it was okay to use what time they had left to enjoy it. We were all still terrified and confused. That's the last thing I remember. A week later, Stacy and Bruno went missing, both on the same day and an hour apart. They were found a day later, hanging from a tree with their eyes cut out, and limbs shredded and scratched to a point where the skin was hanging off the bone. The police didn't investigate nor question anyone. The town knew why they were like this, and for years I asked myself, why wasn't I taken too? I was there, and I had seen the same thing they had. It wasn't until my mother was on her deathbed she told me. The sleeping mask I wore that night stopped them from seeing my full face. And if it weren't for the sleeping mask, I would have been hanging from a tree just like them. I moved out of town shortly after. My brothers decided to stay. I now have a wife and a son, and I have tried to move on. But I recently got a letter telling me that my brother's son had the same fate as my two childhood friends. That's why I'm writing this. Don't listen to the wailing from the trees. Don't go exploring the woods at night. Do not let them see your face. The things that hide in the woods are hiding for a reason. May God be with you all. Alright. So, that was the last of, that story. It's really good, though. I think he didn't go over, the spelling checks and stuff. But it was actually really good, though. I really enjoyed it a lot. Or either it was he didn't go over the spelling, or I'm just dumb, which is probably a mixture of both. Just being completely honest with you all. Yeah, I have a hard time reading some of these stories because, I see words that, should be there and they're just not there, so I either put them in my own head, or I just say them before, everything else, but it's just me. But yeah. That was also a really good story, though. It was kind of short, but also really good, though. I really enjoyed it. Okay, so we're going to be doing the last story of the night. Oh, this is part two of the Alaska Ranger story. I need to read that soon. Um, hmm. Okay, so this is a new story. I also posted 12 hours ago. I think it's a fitting theme for, this episode to all have like a news story vibe. Also, I don't know why my character is moving by himself. Okay, stay. Stay, Janky. Okay. So, I'll take another sip of my drink real quick because the last story was a lot of talking. Okay, story number 4. The House on the Hill. Posted by VERR Gasm. I'm not gonna say it out loud, but you guys can sound it out for yourself. So, House on the Hill. There's an old abandoned house perched on top of a stubbly hill not too far from where I grew up. The greenish outer paint all flaked and its untended yard long since overgrown with weeds. It looms above the rest and looks down upon the surrounding modern homes littered around all sides. A relic of a time gone past. Many in the local community have always considered it an eyesore, a problem to be dealt with in order to pave way for something new, something worthwhile. It sat empty for many years, longer than I have been alive. And remarkably enough, it still seemed to be left entirely untouched by vandals. I always marveled at it as a child, as we drove past. So different, decayed yet oddly beautiful, among the meticulous, upkept suburban residence which contrasted it in every direction. The house seemed to experience the world all on its own. As innovation brushed away the others of its kind, it alone remained, stoically defiant, refusing to give way. At least that's what I always thought as a young boy. It wasn't until much later that my dad would tell me a story about a dead family line and the bank's effort to claim the property to no success. And so it sat dormant, waiting. For what? Who's to say? But even as an adult, I always had a weird feeling about the old house like that. The one which refused to go into the dark night of destruction. Holds some sort of strange power, ambiguous, but they're all the same. As if somehow actively preventing their own demolition. I finally decided to get inside and take a look. Having recently driven home to visit my parents, I cruised down the same street and was somewhat shocked to see that even after all the years that I've been away, the house still remained. Now, even in a more dilapidated state, its windows were still miraculously intact, caked in dust and grime to the point of opacity, but whole just the same. The entire property seemed to lean almost having sloped in its own rot. That same childlike curiosity overtook me as the thought crossed my mind. Nobody's been inside for centuries. Obviously, that wasn't true, but that's how I felt. That's how it felt. There's always been an ancient presence to it, something that doesn't quite want to let it go. I lay awake in my old room that night, after having dinner with my parents and going to bed. All those forgotten feelings of my naive adventure came rushing back, and it didn't take much internal convincing to drag myself out there, quietly into the night to that abandoned house. I snuck around behind it, wary of being caught trespassing by the neighboring residents, and found the back door that had been completely removed. It was gone. Not anywhere to be seen in that long grass and weeds or on the slimy wooden rear patio, amongst stray boards haphazardly cast aside around my feet. Who would steal an old door? The thought made me want to run, but I clicked on the flashlight and stepped inside. Anyway. I stepped inside anyway. Okay, quick note here though. The wording to this is really weird. It feels like I'm reading a college professor's, like in a paragraph. So bear with me though, because there was one word in here that I completely removed. I know it's not a bad word though, but I'm not gonna be caught saying it. I'll tell you guys how to spell it after the thing. So, back to it. I clicked on the flashlight and I stepped inside anyway. Covering my face in a bandana in the likely case of mold, I entered into the kitchen, completely barren beside some aged brown bowls crusted with God knows what decayed food. If it was even food at all. Resting atop the counter in a scattered formation, all the furniture was gone beside the smashed antique TV set in the living room. I pulled open the door, the sound of which will haunt my nightmares, and stepped into the foyer. The front entrance was blocked by stacks of yellowed newspapers and magazines taking up half the already cramped space. I mounted the stairs, and each gave a similar alarming creak, as did the door. Ascending into the darkness, shining the light through the wooden banister, I saw 3 more doors, one down a short hallway to the right, one behind, and the other one directly in front of me. Climbing the last few stairs and pushing open the nearest pushing open. Wow. I'm having dyslexia today. Okay. Climbing the last few stairs and pushing open the nearest door revealed a small bathroom, the upper corners of which were caked in thick black mold. I quickly tried to slam the door shut, frustrated to see that it refused to close again, and all the way in a state of disrepair. I'm not sure it was right. Then I truly began to realize how stupid I was for being there, in a derelict old house way past midnight, or at some other point in the following minute. But the feeling of inspired a deep, dreadful nausea which made its home in my gut and refused to leave. Backing away, spinning around, and cringing at the sounds of the floorboards beneath, I opened the door right ahead of me, revealing a large bedroom, entirely bare except for a visible soggy mattress tossed up against the far wall. An eerie moonlight showcased the rubbing particles of dust and airborne dirt drifting across the space. Disturbed in my presence, now desperately waiting to leave, the fact took center stage in my mind that I really didn't belong there. My stomach began to sink as I started out through the door and towards the stairs, but there was one last room to see, and I couldn't just leave it at that. The hallway was short, but it seemed to stretch into infinity in the beam of the flashlight. Every rickety step sent foreboding chills down my spine, instinct attempting to force me out, but I endeavored forward until I was gripping the handle. Turning it and pushing the door open with a deafening squeak, it slowly swung before hitting off the wall with a soft thud. Before I could step in, a frantic scurrying enveloped the space, dragging swiftly across the floor in multiple directions, but it wasn't rats, it wasn't the paws or claws of cats or vermin. I heard scraping hobble of bare human feet scattered through the darkness. Not just one set, many. I was frozen in place until a single raspy voice broke the silence. "Who are you?" In that moment, staring into the pitch black ahead, I wasn't even sure if the words had come from my own dry throat or from inside. After the longest time, I heard steps begin slowly advancing towards the doorway. I found my feet and stumbled backwards, breaking into a run and fleeing out the way I came in. Thankfully, I didn't hear anyone give chase behind me. Climbing back through my still open bedroom window, I collapsed onto the bed, exhausted, After a while, I must have fallen asleep because I woke sometime just after dawn, still fully clothed. New sunlight cast its warm glow over the top of me. I felt immediately relieved in the safety of a new day. Thinking the whole thing very well could have just been some wild dream. That's when I noticed him, hulking, haggard, covered in dirt, and hunched over by the door. What were you doing in our house? Okay, so, unless I get a story a 7 out of 10. The thing is though, I had a really hard time reading that because, like, the way that it was written, like, if you read it yourself, you can kind of hear, like, it's kind of like something you have to, like, you know, take it slow to read. But me, I just blurt everything out. So, mine wasn't definitely the best. But I really did enjoy the story, though. Having that little twist at the end, though, is like, what are you doing in our house? Like that old man that asked him the first time. That was really cool. There is one word that I didn't say. I'm pretty sure you can sound it out though, but it's N-I-G-G-L-I-N-G. I know the word means something different, I'm just not gonna take the risk and say the word. But if you're wondering what that word that I, skipped, that it is. But yeah. So that's it for r/Nosleep today. I just want to say yet again, thank you guys so much for the support on these videos. I really do enjoy making these. I just wish I can, make the videos a lot better for you guys. Just I don't have any way to really do it at the moment. But hopefully you all still enjoy this kind of like, this little scenery to a degree. But yeah, hopefully you all enjoy the stories that I read. I know I could read it a lot better though. Just I have like a weird feeling on like my right side of my lip, probably because like my mustache is kind of like covering over the lip, my side of my mouth, and it's kind of like make me feel kind of weird. But yeah, I know that's totally not correlated or anything though, but this part of my mouth feels kind of weird. The side of my mouth feels kind of weird. But yeah, I want to say thank you guys so much for everything. If you guys really enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like and hey, maybe even subscribe if you're interested. I do have a playlist of me doing these type of videos, so if you want to see more of them, feel free to go and find a playlist over on my channel. But yeah, I want to say thank you guys so much for leaving a like and subscribing and even watching the video up to this point. I want to say thank you guys so much for everything. Yet again, if you guys want to see more of this stuff, feel free to leave a like and subscribe. If these videos keep doing well, I'll keep making them. So yeah, that's all I really want to say. Link to the stories are down below if you want to go read them. Show the authors of the stories some love. And yeah, I want to say thank you guys so much for everything. I'll see you guys later. Bye everyone.